Alright, boys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about how I grow Instagram accounts for my models from scratch. So I feel like a lot of people, first of all, overcomplicate the very beginning parts of just, actually creating the account, what proxies you use, what VPN, all that stuff. And the first thing I want to say is, in my experience, and I've been doing IG Reels as one of my main traffic sources. It's not my number one traffic source, but I've been doing it as one of my top traffic sources for a very long time, pretty much since I started OFM, and I've never really worried too much about the proxy VPN. The most I've ever used is a VPN, but even now, like if I run the accounts myself, I don't even use a VPN because the VPN or proxy is not the reason why your account's not doing well. A lot of people, you know, or shall I say, a lot of people out there tell beginners that's the case, but it's really not. So yeah, firstly, there is no secret. No special proxy VPN will help you go viral. Do better. Content is key, and that is literally it. There really is no secret. Content is literally the most important thing. It's a short form content platform. You get pushed out if your content's good and people enjoy it and people watch it, rewatch it, engage with it. You don't get pushed out. Your account doesn't do better just because you're located in exactly London in the UK or exactly I don't know, LA in America. That's not how it works. Um, Next, age yourself created. Once again, it's all the same thing as a proxy VPN. I prefer buying Age just because it's easier to buy 10 accounts and just log in than to, get emails, create. I just prefer buying Age accounts. But you can also self create and, unless you have actually been like IP banned, which doesn't really happen a lot, but if you've been doing like Black Cat and stuff marketing in the past, then you might be. But most cases self create is also fine. Um and yeah, testing niches, find mistakes on your pages. So these are all sort of the same things, like in the same category, I guess. Because obviously testing, you gotta test niches out, you gotta test all the type of content, all that stuff. So as for testing, this is another thing that a lot of people really forget to do. I feel like a lot of people make this mistake. Even I've been used to do this a long time ago. A lot of people, they'll, for example, get a new model or they'll be starting IG, and instead of testing out different types of content, testing out different things they can put in the video, like different clothing, different backgrounds, whatever. They'll just send their model 10 reels to recreate, and that's it. They won't tell them what to do in those videos. They won't tell them what clothes to wear. They won't tell them like how they can make it better, anything like that. They'll literally just send them a link and ask them to recreate it. And obviously, the model will just recreate it within 1 minute, and that's done, right? Obviously, some models, not naturally, but some models just sort of understand better and know how to make better content. But in a lot of cases, not every model is the best at making content naturally. Just straight away, you have to help them. Um, so obviously, you all just test things out, right? Because if you just send your model 10 rows a day, chances are, in most cases, they're not going to do too well, and you're going to have to improve it. But that's where most people forget to do that, and they just make an excuse. Oh, my VPN doesn't work. Oh, my account shadow banned, whatever. Um, so yeah. So obviously niches, obviously got to test niches as well. This is one thing that I find very important. If you want to really fast forward your success and actually go viral fast, you should start with like 3 to 5 IG accounts instead of just one, and each account be a different niche, right? So obviously you gotta do some research, figure out what niches would work for your model. There's obviously tons of niches you can do out there, but you just gotta kind of pick a few niches you think could do well for your model and test out a different one on each account, and then whichever ones work, that's what you want to scale. So let's say 3 of the niches that you picked out of the 5 worked. Now you've got 3 accounts that are doing well with that niche. Now you can get 7 more accounts, and then until you got 10, and then you got all working niches, um, and you can scale that way. Now next thing is find mistakes on your page. Obviously, small things like actually um, posting stories, all of that stuff is obviously important. Um, but even account status, right? I feel like most people know this by now. Um, but it doesn't even beginners are listening. Obviously, the account status this is something you should be checking every single day because sometimes accounts can get flagged. And when if you go in the settings and you search account status, it should all be green. If it's orange, chances are you're not getting pushed out as much as you could be. To like not to like the For You page, to non-followers. which obviously means, no matter how good your content is at that point, you literally basically can't go viral. So yeah, that's also very important. Now, another thing is this, and this is really important in my opinion to do if you actually want to get traffic fast. Is traffic from other platforms or other IG pages, so like X/Twitter, Reddit, dating apps, other IG pages. So even if you're paying for promo somewhere, like cheap promo, or if you've got other IG accounts already, or if you're doing Twitter on the side, you can promo on Twitter, or if you're doing dating apps, you're doing Reddit, whatever you're doing, getting some sort of traffic from other places to a new account would boost that account massively, and it will obviously help it grow very fast. I've mentioned in my other IG videos in the past, it does take a long time for IG accounts to start doing well. Usually, it takes like 2 to 4 weeks. But if you shout it, not shout out, but if you push out your new account on different platforms or on other IG accounts, um, that account will then be able to most likely, you know, triple the time or like lower the time by 3x of how long it could take to actually start getting views. Now, as for the actual reels, the first part was mainly just about like, I guess, niches testing, all that stuff. Now, as for the actual reels, finding trends and making them better for your model/niche. So it's sort of what I was saying earlier about just finding random viral videos and just sending it to your model. Instead of doing that, you should be finding trends that either match your model's niche or something that you can just sort of improve on. So like if this is something that's going viral, every model's doing it. Obviously, you should do it if it's going viral, but there's always ways that you can make it better to give yourself a high chance of going viral, right? One example that I give very often, that I think is pretty easy to do, that not many people do, is just adding some sort of controversy or something, some type of emotion to the video. So even if it's like funny, right? If you just do a normal trend, whatever the trend might be, and you put something in the background, for example, like a pink dildo in the background. If you put something like that in the background, obviously there's gonna be people that question, oh, what's that in the video? What is that? Blah blah blah. You know, that's obviously gonna start getting more engagement. Another good idea that if you guys actually do your own research and or if you just scroll on IG, you might have seen that a lot of mods have been doing, is putting that like LED like flashing rainbow colored butt plug in their underwear, and then obviously they wear like see through trousers, whatever, skirt, and obviously you can see it like flashing through their underwear. So obviously that, once again, adding something like that to a normal trend, if they like bend over or they turn around, and everyone sees that, obviously other people can then start engaging, either laughing at it or find it hot, whatever. And yeah, just small things like that can make a very big difference. It can add a lot more to engagement. Some people might even rewatch the video because they find it interesting or they find it hot, like I said. They might rewatch it to see it again, whatever it might be. It adds some sort of engagement or extra time, watch time. So yeah, now be unique. Obviously, this sort of is the same thing as what I just said by making it better. Um, but yeah, as much as you should copy reels or like viral trends, being unique in your own way within your own niche also is really important. Like one thing that we do a lot is we'll find trends, but then we'll change them up to match our niche. So like, for example, if we've got like a teacher niche model and there's a trend that's not anything to do with a teacher, we'll think of ways to kind of change it to still be that trend, but be more like towards a teacher niche. And just doing something like that, because people don't see that often. That's being unique, and that's what can get you pushed out more. Um, Now, I'm just gonna talk about analyzing what viral videos have in common. So this is another thing that this is not really something that you can be taught. This is just something that you have to sort of learn yourself. It's not really a thing that I can tell you how it works, because it's just something that you learn like in your brain. I don't know how to explain that. But learning how to analyze what viral videos have in common. This is something that's also very important. Is whether you're trying to create your own trends or think like be creative in your own way, whatever it might be. Something that's very important is to know how to analyze what videos have in common, what viral videos have in common. Um, so basically just looking for things like what facial expressions they make, like the type of movement they make. Like, do they jump up and down to like shake their boobs or ass? Do they show their face, or do they like feet? Sorry, or do they like stick their tongue out? You know, stuff like that. What backgrounds they have, what's in the background, what clothing they wear. You know, all of these things. Analyzing these type of things and realizing what works, and seeing, if you watch a bunch of videos, you'll start to realize that a lot of these videos have a lot of things in common. Like, for example, their backgrounds are very like clean. There's not much in the background, but there'll be like, for example, maybe one weird thing like a dildo, like I said. A lot of the time they'll make either like cute facial expressions or like sticking the tongue out, whatever. Or they'll be like jumping up and down on purpose, stuff like that. Obviously, clothing, either tie or like see through, whatever. And then once you start adding all of these things into your model's content as well, from there on out, it starts getting a lot easier to start going viral. Um, whether you get traffic from other platforms or not, whether you get a VPN proxy or not, if your content is very high quality, it's going to become a lot easier to create IG accounts. Um, and yeah, that is pretty much it for the video. Hopefully, you guys learned something. I do have a private group in the description if you guys want to join. And yeah, see you guys later.